morning. My name is Kelsey Todd, and I lead the tag management and web analytics team for Gap Inc.
My name is Greg Phipps. Hi, everyone. I lead a team called Digital Performance and Growth. We conduct rapid iteration and testing using personalized experiences. So today, we're going to talk about the data maturity journey. And what it really did is it set us up for unlocking some key business functionality, which we'll get into. First up, probably all of you know that we are Gap Incorporated, and we have 7 brands. We were founded in 1969 by Don and Doris Fisher. Our brands are Gap, Old Navy, Banana Republic, Athleta, Intermix, our new addition, Hill City, last October, active menswear for day-to-day, and our latest acquisition earlier this year, Janie and Jack. So just a quick stats card. We operate in 90 countries worldwide. We have 3,100 stores that are company operated as well. And last year, we hit $16.6 billion in net sales. Okay, now back to the journey. So a few things set the stage. One was we kind of knew that data layer and our just general way how we were tagging our site needed some maintenance and love. But a second thing that sort of set the stage was our Gap Inc. leadership really applied more focus, and it allowed our teams to become a little more autonomous and explore this area. But Kelsey and I both agree that there was one catalyst that kind of projected us onto this, this journey. And we'll get into that in just a second. Yes, so this slide represents us visually. Here you can see we are accurately portrayed here. I don't know, which one is you and which one is me in this picture, Kelsey?
Obviously the smarter one.
Yeah, good. So we sit here, and we're taking requests, from all of the brands, and sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but they're never usually the same. And it's our job to enable the brands and prioritize their capabilities. And on a rare occasion, it doesn't happen all the time, they all demanded one thing, and that was personalization. And at that point, we knew we had a big problem. So we had dabbled in this before, but it was really for light scale, minor tweaks, and was not ready for the complex personalization that we wanted to go after. So I know others have seen the unicorn in the last presentation, but our unicorn was personalization. And it comes from the land of rainbows, and it's a buzzword that marketers and others are promised truckloads of cash if they can get it right. But what is it exactly? It means something different to many people, depending on who you ask. For us, it is actionable data to control a customer experience that could be more relevant than the default content. Sounds pretty easy, right? It's actually really hard, and if you've ever walked into a glass window, like I have before, it's sort of like you can see where you want to go, but you can't really get there, and you're going to take the hit. So why is it hard? So in our organization, which probably is similar to many of yours, the data is owned and operated by different teams, and the data is all disparate. And in doing so, when you have to have a team that brings it all together, data also then becomes slow to action, so we don't really have actionable data. The other part that's challenging is orchestration. It's hard to get the messages right in each channel. And then organizationally, business process has to change. You have to even apply new teams to continue pushing this forward. And lastly, we knew there were technology holes. So when you start personalizing to hundreds and hundreds of different experiences, all of a sudden you have a content problem, you have a delivery problem. So there was a ton of things that were identified, many technologies that we needed to put in place.
So how are we going to get there? How are we going to deliver this personalization to our brands and deliver it at scale across all 7 of those brands? In order to get there, we really had to go back to the basics. And so we thought about this journey ahead of us in 3 major stages. The first being data governance. Data governance is absolutely foundational to any analytics-ready organization, but it's definitely critical to personalization. In order to personalize to your customers, you need to have accurate and timely and uniform data. And the second focus area was on a confidence in your customer identification. In order to invest in a technology like this, you really need to have a high degree of confidence in your ability to correctly identify your customers and to correctly identify them across all of their touch points. And finally, the third focus area was ability to take action. Clean, governed data and confidence in your customer ID is not enough if you can't do something with that data and you can't show up for your customers. You really need to meet your customers wherever they are in every marketing channel and across every one of our digital experiences. And so before personalization could become a reality for us, we had to focus significant time and energy on this first focus area of data governance. And this is where Tealium IQ really came in. And so in 2017, Greg and I's teams, who were very small but very mighty at the time, we set out on this data maturity journey to completely redesign our data layer strategy and to migrate all of our tags from their previous, often hard-coded state on our sites into Tealium IQ. So everyone in the room has probably touched data governance in some way, and you understand that it's really difficult. It's really hard for every organization in every single industry. There's no one-size-fits-all solution to governance. But for us, which as Greg talked about, we're an organization that's made up of multiple unique brands, there's an added layer of even more complexity, and this is because of our shared shopping bag concept. If you've ever shopped any of our sites, you'll notice that you can actually shop any of our brands on a single e-commerce platform, and you'll have a shared shopping cart and a shared checkout process. So our customers love this. This is a seamless experience for our customers, but for tag management people, it's a bit of a nightmare. And it can get messy very, very quickly. And this was us in 2017, messy, and we had a lot of maturing to do. And so we set out on the journey and kind of thought of this in a few major phases. We set out to completely overhaul our tagging and data layer strategy. And the first step to that was to actually take an inventory of what tags we actually had and to actually identify the owners, which was something you would think you would know, but we didn't know at the time. And in doing that, we were able to identify what we had and why we had it. And we were able to actually speak to each vendor and do a full assessment and compliance exercise to understand what they needed going forward. And we were able to make a lot of enhancements in doing that. In defining the data requirements with each vendor, we were able to see the commonalities across all the requirements and to just redefine what our data layer strategy should be. And then finally, we were able to migrate into Tealium IQ. We did significant code cleanup, significant tag consolidation, performance assessments to finally finish the process. But because we're Gap Inc., repeat that process 7 times across 7 brands and 6 times across 6 global domains. And at this point, we realized that governance really isn't just a process. It's not a one and done. It's really a cycle. Because if you're like us, your vendors will constantly change, and your site will constantly release some new functionality that changes your tracking requirements, or your site will re-platform and inherently change your entire data layer strategy overnight, and you will need to iterate through this process again and again. So in my opinion, one of the key things we did at this point in time was to develop a tag and data layer request and implementation process that was repeatable and scalable across all of our brands, across the entire organization. And most importantly, it was finally a process that was governed at the center of the organization. And so everyone, no matter what brand you're in, needed to go through this process.
Great. So now let's focus on identity. So it's really important that you have confidence in your customer identification, because if you don't, you're not really personalizing, are you? And there's also benefits of stronger reporting and analytics as well. So clean data is everything. And thank you, Kelsey, for governing and making the data layer accessible. This led to surge in confidence and accuracy in our data modeling. And we now felt we could confidently map the right data event to the right visitor profile. So our data science team has many, many attributes and predictive models that are now, as I mentioned, stronger, but we still had trouble actioning them in real time. It often took 2 or so weeks just to get the data prepped and loaded in the right system. When we loaded it to Audience Stream, we found that stitches sow riches. So as soon as we loaded in, within 2 page views, we could map to a visitor ID and personalize their experience. And that incredibly increased our breadth and scope of people that we could actually take action on. The last pillar is the ability to take action. So we have the clean data, it's governed. We now feel accurately we can identify people. So now it's time to set up the connectors and figure out how we can actually deliver the experience. But a quick stop in memory lane here. It's 2018 now. We certainly felt that we needed more heads, and it was reflected with our leaders. And so you can see our teams have begun to increase in size. Kelsey's team is up at the top, my team's up at the bottom. And so I think it's just a really interesting thing, and you'll see it expand even further. So you just note that it does take time, and you are going to need growth. Okay, so getting it done. Back to how we got it done. So if this is a customer, and this person were to take 1 page view, 2 page views, 3 page views, we're able to badge them now through Tealium Audience Stream. And I should mention all of those page views are loaded in the data layer and passed off to different places thanks to Kelsey's team. But my team is responsible for building the badges. And as soon as they're in Tealium Audience Stream, we can also pair them with our offline data. So now the models and the attributes are now assigned to this person as well. And then going on to the next slide, so Tealium Audience Stream allows us to send these signals, these badges, these audiences to any marketing channel, really. Today, we've been dabbling a lot in the Salesforce Marketing Cloud, as well as Optimizely to control web and email experiences. But I'd just say the cool thing about all this, and we're just the tip of the iceberg, is that we can orchestrate the messages between all of our channels, and knowing confidently that the signal is the same.
Okay, and the rest is magic. I really wish it was, but it's not. So let's watch a video now that details some of the recent experiences we were able to provide our Gap brand customers with the help of Audience Stream. So when a customer first lands on our site, many times they're unknown. So we'll show them that default content experience. A lot of times we'll feature women's division because we know for Gap brand that many of the shoppers are women. But as we learn more about this customer when she navigates through the site, we should be able to change her experience. So as she goes to the maternity division, we actually prompt her for her maternity due date. And if she provides it to us, now we're pretty confident she's a maternity shopper. And so we'll start to change her experience on the very next page view. Now you can see here, we'll start to market maternity items. When she goes to a product page, we'll start to give other maternity product recommendations. And then as she goes back to the home page, as you can see here, we've changed her experience to feature maternity. We'll even start to feature baby and toddler, and as she continues to come back to the site over time, if she's recognized, we'll try to push her into the baby and toddler divisions because we know that that provides a high lifetime value for our Gap brand customers.
We also dabbled in landing page optimization. So normally a message like this would go to the homepage. But if we knew that you'd been to our site in 2 weeks and we knew you're at a time-bound promo, it's really important for us to get you in front of the product. So instead, we land you here, which is just a curated list and algorithmically generated list of product recommendations. And then just to demonstrate how far we've come, these are side-by-sides. We started with just 4 segments, and we really relied on the predictive analytics and the models that were coming through data science. But today, we are now personalizing the homepage with 87 unique permutations, and all of it has been tested. And we continue to iterate and test and see where we can get the most value, the more narrow the segments are. And that's how the magic happens. Okay, so just some quick journey metrics for us. So we have implemented 300 plus data layer variables, 200 tags across all international domains. We have about 534 Tealium badges and audiences. We've run about 155 personalized experiments, probably more since we've flown out here, and 87 unique permutations, as I mentioned, of the Gap homepage. And so I think it's important to note that even though there were business accretive breakthroughs in those 155 experiments, clearly not every one of them were successful. And so it's important to keep iterating because that is part of the journey.
So obviously, Greg and I believe that customer analytics and personalization really does provide the best possible experience to our customers across all of our brands. But our customers do have the right to opt out of data collection and opt out of these experiences. And Tealium's consent management tool helps us provide that option to our customers. In 2018, when GDPR came into effect, all of the work that we had done the year prior to re-implement our data layer and to make sure all of our tags were actually in a tag management system really helped set us up for success for compliance for GDPR. And everything that we've done since then makes us feel like we are prepared to take on any future privacy regulation that's coming very soon, like CCPA. So what's next? Our journey doesn't end here. I know you guys think a typical implementation is 90 days, but ours is 3 years and counting. And in 2019, you can see the organization is really invested in our teams, and both of our teams have doubled in size. And this year, we're really focused on the latest addition to our Tealium tech stack, which is Event Stream. And we see Event Stream helping us in 3 major ways. The first being real-time event-level data streaming to our enterprise data platform. Event Stream's real-time data product is really going to help build the architecture of our EDP and of our future single view of the customer. Second, we're going to focus on unifying our digital properties even more by migrating our native iOS app SDKs into Tealium. And finally, we hope to reduce client-side tags as much as possible in the next year. We're constantly striving to have a more performant site. And often personalization, all the campaigns you saw in the video, as powerful as they can be for our customers, they do definitely require a trade-off with site speed. And so we need to do as much as we can to mitigate that risk. And we're hoping to move as many tags as we can from client side to server side to try to offset some of that.
All right, so we've grown a lot, and it's worth noting that for us, and probably for many of you, it takes time to change and mature. The data journey begins with leadership support, shift in a mindset, and a problem to solve, which is often the catalyst. And as we tackled our pillars of data governance, confidence in the customer identity, and making it actionable, we realized that our organization needed to change and grow. So that's it. And we set out for this to acquire this super achievable unicorn. But we ended up with something more like this. Hit it. A dog in a unicorn costume. But honestly, Kelsey and I would take that any day. Thank you.
Thank you.